So I just want to take us through a blow by blow of what has happened over the last like 2 weeks with Kendrick and Drake.
Definitely.
If that's okay with you too.
I've listened to one song,
Okay.
but I've been paying attention to the whole beef drama. But I need a little bit of an update.
Okay, so I'm just gonna cover the last little bit of time. So this is, let's see. This is in 2023, October 2023. Drake puts out First Person Shooter with J. Cole. J. Cole has this kind of like, I mean, it's ultimately like a throwaway line. He's like, there's a big three, right? It's me, J. Cole, Drake, and Kendrick. We're like the top of the game right now when it comes to rap. Then a few months later, I think, in 2024, this is March 2024, Kendrick puts out a song with Metro Boomin and Future called Like That. And in that song, he says, F the big three. It's just big me, right? He's like, come on, really? I'm the top of the game. It's all about me. I mean, it's like classic rap, like kind of one-upsmanship in a lot of ways, right? Then Drake comes back pretty recently with a song called Push-Ups, where he spends a very good portion of the song just making fun of Kendrick. And Kendrick's been poking at Drake for years, but he's like really, really like poking Kendrick. He's like, you're short, your music flopped, your last album flopped, all of those things. And so not too long after that, this is where it was like tit for tat, shots are starting to get fired.
So the Push-Ups was the first of this current one, would you say?
It's like the instigating event is what I would say is Push-Ups. Euphoria is what Kendrick drops, and he is sort of directly responding to Push-Ups saying, listen, I'm better than you. We're at the top of our game. I'm at the top of my game right now. You know, you've got all these things that are in your history. You're corny. Like it's not about you, whatever. Then not too long after that, he releases this follow-up called 616 in LA, basically saying, don't respond. I mean, he's kind of baiting him a little bit. He's like, listen, I got one in the chamber. You know, you drop this thing about me. You try and, say any insults about me. I've got one to drop right back at you. Drake responds with Family Matters. And he literally goes and in the music video, he crushes like the iconic red van or like maroon purple van from Kendrick's, like a lot of people think it's his best album. He like literally takes it and crushes it. And he's like saying all these things about Kendrick, whatever. And then immediately after, because Kendrick had one in the chamber, he releases Meet the Grams. And Meet the Grams is basically going and picking apart, like it's the theme is like he's going to all these family members of Drake, like saying, Drake is a bad person. I've got all these things. Your team is actually feeding information to me. I've got tons of dirt on you. Here, I'm like airing out all your dirty laundry, basically. And then immediately after that, he actually releases another song called Not Like It. So he's just rolling at this point. He's going.
Oh, so Drake doesn't respond to Meet the Grams.
He doesn't even have time to respond to Meet the Grams because that was the one that was in the chamber, right?
Wow.
He literally drops it. I think it was like 57 minutes after Family Matters came out. He drops that one because he's like, I warned you. I had this on you. Your team hates you, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, right?
So what's the one that Kendrick responds with after Drake doesn't respond? What's that called?
This one's called Not Like Us. And this is like arguably like, in my opinion, this is like kind of the pinnacle of everything. Like it's a banger. It's like a club banger. He calls literally Drake a pedophile in it, right? And he's responding directly to Family Matters there. And then Drake responds and it's kind of like falls flat. And
What's that one called?
I actually don't even remember what. Do you remember that one?
Is that the May 5th Drake soft, the Heart Part 6?
The Heart Part 6. And first of all, it was actually a great move by him to call it the Heart Part 6 because it goes back. Kendrick, I think, has a series of songs going back to like the beginning of his career, like Heart Part 1, Heart Part 2, right? And so Drake, being known as like the Sixth God, he's from the Six, like Toronto and things like that. So he like says, even just with the title, like, oh, this is the Heart Part 6. I'm taking away, if you make a song, I am always having bigger hits than you. So if people search the Heart Part 6, my song is going to come up before yours. But the song was kind of mediocre, at least in my opinion. The song was kind of mediocre, and there hasn't been a lot of activity since. And so the dust is settling a little bit, but we don't know what necessarily happens next. So that's where we're at in this whole. Did I do an okay job, Nouchaly?
Yeah, yep, you got it
okay,
all.
yeah.
And so there's nothing left right now,
Yeah,
as
May
of
5th
right now.
was the last drop. Yeah.
And that was Hard Part 6.
And we're recording this on Wednesday, May 8th. Yeah?
Okay, well, first off, good job describing everything that I wasn't following. I was trying to stay out of all of this because
Benji didn't want to stir anything up.
I'm really busy. But the reason we're even talking about this is because it's fascinating to me. Not that this is happening, because I mean, rap beef and people going at each other. It's kind of a part of the culture.
It's been there since Biggie and Tupac.
Exactly. So,
Well, Benji, you have a history in hip hop and rap too. Like, what's your background here?
and so like for me, it's nothing new.
Yeah.
But my history with hip hop is I used to put on b-boy jams back in the day. So b-boy is break dancing. Break dancing is kind of like the more like known way of saying things, but in the culture of hip hop, they call it b-boying. And my first b-boy battles also had rap battles at them. And so I always look at any rapper or anybody in hip hop from the eyes of somebody that really is a fan of the people that can rap at each other in a ring. Literally, it's a ring, right? In the moment and improvise, just like breakdancers improvise their dancing. And to me, that's like the highest level of the art form. So you have to be a lyricist. You have to be able to think on the fly, take a lot of pressure, not just from an audience, but even somebody's that's literally attacking you.
Taking hits,
So what intrigues me about this is it's almost like a rap battle happening, but online and just not as fast because of the way Kendrick is responding so quickly. And the reason I'm like most interested is because I think it goes without saying, Nouchaly, you tell me if this is correct. Kendrick is winning so far. And there's a sentiment towards him that people are like, Kendrick is kind of like the underdog that's showing his real skills. And Drake is obviously the pop star that is lacking in these skills to be able to hold his own.
I will say too, I mean, you and I had a brief conversation, right? I'm really curious about what you think in terms of like whether there's valid critiques in Kendrick's arguments as well.
Right. Nah, Benji got the nail on the coffin, bro. Drake has always been the top guy. He's been charting ever since. There's that bite clip of Snoop Dogg saying he never misses. Drake never misses. But Kendrick, like you said, he is the underdog. His last album did flop, but yes, he's coming with the fire. He dropped 2 tracks before Drake could even respond to the first one. So yeah, Kendrick is definitely winning this one so far.
Yeah.
I'm curious about the background too as well, but Benji, I want to know what you think in terms of like what's going on there. Like given all of what's going on, like
I think there's
where
a difference. So I did listen to one of Kendrick's songs. Which one's the one with I'm going to sound so old, the one with the mansion with the little pins in it of the Google Maps?
Oh, that was Not Like Us.
Not Like Us.
Yeah.
Okay. I listened
so kind of
to
like
that.
The final blow.
I was
so
like,
far.
oh wow, this guy, I mean, it legit sounded like he was at a battle or whatever. And it was really good. I haven't listened to any of the Drake stuff, so I can't really give a fair assessment, but I don't know that much about Kendrick Lamar. I haven't even heard a lot of his songs. I know of them now that I kind of like brushed up on his back, catalog. But it's very clear to me he's a lyricist. Yeah. He knows how to flow. He knows how to rap, like respect. And one thing I've always known about Drake is he's not really a rapper as much as he is a pop artist. He's famous and respect. Yeah. I actually, there's a couple songs that, I know of, but when it comes to rap, the kind of rap that I grew up with, it's 100% Kendrick Lamar. And for me, that's what I respect. And it's very clear to me without even listening to everything, just hearing from other people that Kendrick won this battle and Drake is walking out of the circle, right? The rap battle circle with his head down. And I'm like thinking, wow, good for Kendrick, right? And it's kind of about time that Drake isn't on top.
Yeah, he kind of faced a little bit. Can I play a clip really quick? This is Obama when he was president.
Kendrick Lamar got in a rap battle. Who do you think would win? Gotta go with Kendrick.
Tell Obama that my verses are just like the
He's basically saying that Obama is like, if this is back in the day, if these two got in a rap battle, Kendrick would win because he was a lyricist. So it's just reaffirming exactly what you would say.
Yeah. Anyway, so I thought it was a great topic to start on just because it is on everybody's interest right now. But more importantly, there's some lessons to be learned. And we're going to be talking about all of that. Exactly. But if you're new and you're a creator and you want to learn from other creators, this is the Creator Secrets Podcast. Make sure you subscribe and follow because we talk about things that creators care about. And let's let's get right into it.
Yeah, so let's start with a little bit of follow-up here, right? The last time we talked about people finding a lot of success on YouTube for people who are coming from short form over to YouTube, right? And you had a friend recently that we talked about whose videos are popping off on shorts, and they're actually making quite a bit of money on shorts. And not only that, they're seeing a lot of success bringing their following from shorts to their long form content. And that all starts with taking YouTube seriously. So I hope you could talk a little bit about that what happened in the last week.
This creator that we're referencing, famous on TikTok, want to get into YouTube, want to really kind of double down because they saw the writing was on the wall with that platform. And also they've always wanted to be on YouTube. So I've been coaching them. They've been doing a lot more long form type of content. But I also said, hey, TikTok, short form, that's still your bread and butter. Definitely still upload, right? To all the platforms, TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube Shorts. So as they're putting up long form content, they're also doing YouTube Shorts. So we won't focus on the other platforms. The thing that we always knew in recent history is that Shorts doesn't really pay out very well. Like it kind of sucks. And a lot of short form creators are very angry and frustrated about it because they thought, hey, YouTube is promising there's going to be ad revenue. This is why this creator and so many creators are trying to get into long form because they know that AdSense is so important to their business. Anyway, so this creator is like uploading a lot of long form, really putting in the reps, really learning, really improving, but at the same time putting up shorts. So the long form is actually doing well. Some things are popping off. They've also been taking some of those long form and making it to shorts on top of just more natively created shorts. And they've been noticing some of their shorts popping off, like really popping off. Now that's kind of normal for this creator. Like they have these viral hits here and there. The difference is one of them started going up in revenue significantly, like literally at to the tune of like $1,000 for one short, which is a big deal because to make $1,000 from all your shorts views in 1 month is like mind blowing. This is off of one short.
That's crazy.
We're all kind of shocked, like the people discussing this, because it's never been seen before like this. Now, to be fair, this short specifically that this creator is experiencing this higher ad revenue did pop off. So like millions upon millions of views. But the difference is the ad revenue is way up higher. But it's no different than a lot of his other shorts, including ones that have gone viral. And I think it's a sign of two things. One, AdSense on shorts is getting a little bit better. They're figuring it out, right? But secondly, my hunch is his shorts are benefiting from the long form content. I mentioned his long form is doing really well. He's also getting more viewers watching longer, like having longer sessions, like higher audience retention, meaning instead of just watching 30 seconds, 60 seconds of his shorts, for his long form, he's getting like 4 minutes, 5 minutes, 7 minutes. Nothing crazy, but that's literally significantly like quadruple much better than what he's doing on his shorts. And I believe that he's starting to gain a depth in terms of relationships with his audience, where now they are not only fans of his long form, when they're watching their short form, maybe they're just watching a little bit differently, and it's affecting. There's a positive gain. Because this creator is also working double time doing shorts and long form, which a lot of creators, I think that the takeaway for a lot of creators is it is very hard, but eventually it will pay off. You don't always know how it's going to pay off. In this case, it paid off in the opposite way they thought. Like they're definitely getting more revenue on the long form because AdSense is known to pay out really good, especially if you get enough views. But even shorts is benefiting. So for me, it's kind of a hunch. It's not a fact because I don't know. Like I don't look at every creator's analytics, but I do believe it's a positive sign, and it's just a benefit from this person just hustling, putting in the reps, putting up the uploads, building a deeper, better relationship with their audience, and just understanding YouTube in general. Like it's really hitting because they're focused on YouTube.
Yeah, it's a little unusual based off of what you have seen in the last, couple of years where Shorts has really been a player in this space, right? And it makes me think about our previous conversations. This is why it's in follow-up, right? About TikTok and what's going on with TikTok. And actually, even beyond TikTok, creators who want to make the transition from that short-form platform to either a long-form platform or another short-form platform, right? So, like, I think about... there's like two big ideas I think that we've talked about with YouTube Shorts. Number one, it is kind of, at the moment, it was sort of losing the battle, speaking of battles, with like TikTok, right? And TikTok really just owned that space. It was more vibrant and had relatively speaking, it had a better payout, even though it wasn't great payout necessarily. And now I'm wondering if YouTube is starting to realize that there's an opportunity here that we need to kind of think about in terms of getting creators over to the platform and making it sustainable for them. The second thing that I've definitely heard is whether or not it's splitting your audience, right? Is short form or shorts in particular splitting your audience on YouTube? Now, that may still be true and it may have to do with the strategy that you're taking, but it's interesting to me that you're saying he is seeing success both in the short form and in the long form at the same time. And even if it's not the same audience, that's a really good sign for creators that there can be success in the both of those. And speaking of long form, I think it's a good time to talk about our kind of first topic, which is your transition to phase 2 of BenjiManTV,
For sure.
right? So the story behind BenjiManTV is in December, you hopped back in with a vengeance, started vlogging daily, made 100 days of vlogs, 100 vlogs basically straight. And you kind of called that phase 1, which was this pure quantity play. It was all about upload count, a focus on just getting your feet on the ground, seeing what's going on, learning from that quantity, right? And phase 2 is taking that quantity and starting to consider strategy and learning from it. So I wanted you to talk about your transition into what you're calling phase 2 here and what that means and everything related to it.
Yeah.
As we kind of go forward.
Let me address the one of the things that you said before, though,
Sure.
about shorts being a benefit to this specific creator, right? As well as like there was this notion, or there was this maybe theory that shorts could hurt your long form. See, what I do believe 100%, there isn't one right way to do YouTube. There isn't one result, right? There isn't one rule. So shorts may be good for you. Shorts may be bad for you. Shorts might be a complementary thing. It might be the thing. You just have to figure out what that thing is. Like, I always bring up these two different creators, Daniel Batal, right? These are YouTube experts. Daniel Batal, he's a fan of shorts and he thinks they're a benefit to your channel. He actually says, hey, they can be very complementary and look at the metrics.
Yeah.
Like look at the long-term, like results of it. And then we've got Devin Jovey, right? And he's 100% against shorts, right? Kind of negative Nancy about it. And he's saying it hurts your channel. It cannibalizes your long form content. See, I actually don't think either one of them are wrong. They're actually both right.
Yeah.
And I think the greater point is you have to figure out how it works for you, because you can't deny shorts gets lots of views.
Yes.
And people are going to YouTube for YouTube shorts. So you can't deny that. And then secondly, some people are wanting just long form, so they're not into it. So it's just the unique buildup of your audience and then your goals. So you just have to experiment and know this is why being in YouTube and focus on YouTube is really important.
Yes.
So that you can read the room,
Taking
right?
it seriously,
Read
right?
your own channel room and taking it seriously.
Well, and that actually speaks to exactly what we're going to talk about here, right?
Yes.
Which is the quantity play at the beginning and the transition to strategy, right? Because that was kind of your philosophy at the beginning. I'm going to get in here and there's not one way to do YouTube. I'm going to do it my way first, and then we're going to figure out what to do from there. So go ahead and speak to that for me. Like, what's going on?
Well, that's, so just to give a little bit of background to catch up any creators that don't know about it. When I started my food channel, it was just recipes. Austin used to shoot my recipes. It was like a 3-day process, come up with the idea, script it, and then shoot it, and then you edit it and then upload it. It could take about 3 days of work.
Yeah.
And I would do that maybe once a week, once every other week. And, they were good videos. I mean, you have one of the viral videos on my channel, the popcorn video, okay? But very produced.
Yes.
And I just stopped uploading for a super long time. And then last year, I noticed that people were into long form content and vlogging type of content. So I just decided, hey, I'm going to start vlogging on my food channel. Instead of doing recipe tutorials, I'm going to be doing food vlogs, similar to what I used to do, except with a much more relaxed feel, similar to what I do on our family vlogging channel. I would just combine the niche of food, love, and cooking, as well as vlogging. And so phase 1, which started the end of last November 2023, it was all about daily.
Yeah.
Like
Literally, quantity was the number.
right?
It wasn't view count. It wasn't audience retention.
Yep.
It was upload count. And that
Yep.
was the only thing you cared about.
Exactly. And so for me, I was just putting in the reps. In fact, I remember that first one because I was like, okay, this is the beginning of me vlogging for 30 days straight. And I was nervous. Like, what if this is bad? I have to literally do this for 9 more days.
Yeah.
Could be bad. It was okay. It was like 6,000 views. Right? I'm used to back in the day, 30, 50, 100,000 views and just continue growing. But I got 6,000. I was like, I'll take it. And so I was just committed. Boom, boom, boom. Every single day, weekends included, right? Holidays, we're talking Christmas, New Year's Eve, boom, boom. And I did that for a good 2 months.
Yeah.
And I learned a lot. It was hard work. But guess what? My views slowly went up. So instead of average of 6,000, it went up slowly to about 10,000 and eventually about 15,000. And then at the end of January, we decided, hey, let's continue doing this. And phase 1, all about reps, all about quantity, ended. And I would say at the end of April, right? Maybe beginning of April. But I was slowly moving into phase 2. Let me explain what phase 2 is. Phase 2 for me is being a little more discerning with the topics, thinking more about quality, not just quantity. So instead of doing 7 uploads a week, I'm starting to do about 5 to 6 uploads. I mean, there was a couple of weeks in the last 2 months where I'm literally doing 3 or 4 uploads. Okay. But I'm really thinking about the topic. I'm thinking about the takeaway. And I just want to be more strategic while at the same time, I am still trying to lay up a lot of uploads. So there's still some weeks where I do hit 6 and 7, but I'm slowing down the pace because phase 2 is about strategy. And it's also about quantity.
You said something significant to me the other day, which was, again, about what metric you care about. If the original thing was about upload count, which, first of all, I want to just pause for a second, is significant on its own. A lot of creators don't necessarily think about upload. It's like the one stat that YouTube Studio doesn't show you. It's like how many videos you uploaded. And at least I don't think it does, right? So that was significant. But significantly here, you're transitioning. Upload count is still important, but you're folding something else in particular, which is, I think you mentioned to me that it was audience retention, even over view count. So I want you to speak a little bit to why you focus on audience retention here and kind of some of the details about how you're doing that.
Yeah. So, of course, in phase 1, all about quantity, all about uploading daily if I could. And the reason is I'm looking for results and I'm looking for data. Specifically, I want to know not only what gets the most view count, but what parts of those videos are getting the highest interest. Because in phase 2, I'm still like view count isn't the number one. Now I'm moving towards audience retention, right? Average view duration. How many minutes of this video? Not just percentage, but the actual minutes. So say I have a 10-minute upload and I get 7 minutes viewed. Great. That's 70% of my video that the average viewer is watching.
Yes.
But to me, actually, what's more significant is say I upload a 30-minute video and say it only gets 50% of the average view duration, but 50% of 30 is what? 15. So it's literally double that. That is what I'm looking at. And how I go about creating content that does that is I go back to phase 1. I go back to that back catalog. I'm looking at the winners and I'm specifically picking out why this got views. I'm looking at the audience retention, metrics inside of YouTube Studio, and I'm seeing what has the highest interest. Where are there blips in the graph? Where are people? By the way, it's not just there too. comments. People will
That's true.
engage with me and say, I like this part and this is why. Guess what? Another thing I didn't mention, I engage way more in phase 1. See, what was more important than the data was the response
Yeah,
from
kind
the
of the
audience.
vibe of the audience.
Sometimes like the data doesn't tell you the whole story. So when
Yeah.
somebody would leave a comment or there was a certain type of comment, I would respond. Go back to those early uploads, and Chris is going to be coming on here soon. He knows I was religious about hitting up. I mean, at one point it's hard to hit up every single one, especially when you're doing daily, but this is really important too. And that you only get a chance to engage with your audience if you give them a video to engage with,
so true.
right?
Yeah.
And so I'm learning all this stuff. So in phase 2, I'm able to put up content not only for, hopefully higher views and more quality in terms of production and, like thinking through the whole topic and
strategy,
takeaway.
yeah.
But now I'm looking at the average view duration, and that is what's actually most important to me, not necessarily the upload count in the last month, not even the view count, because we're going to show you examples of videos that didn't get high view counts, but the audience, the average view duration is so high, and how this could affect not only the rest of phase 2, but phase 3. I know it gets kind of complex if you're just listening to this. Point is, even in phase 2, what I'm doing, any creator can learn from to benefit long term.
Yeah, I mean, this is where you start folding in a lot of the strategy pieces, right? And I love what you're saying. Just to summarize, right? The idea here is to focus on audience retention. And to be fair, that's what your focus is. But the reason you're doing that is because you're really thinking about long-term growth in this scenario, and in particular, the health of your core audience, right? I'm sure we'll talk more about that, but I was hoping to bring in Chris, your editor, who has gained a lot of this instinct with you and has been there from day one on this vlog journey. So that way you two can kind of unpack and reflect on some of the actual specific videos that you've done and some of that statistics if you were to open up YouTube Studio, and kind of what your process is in phase 2 about how you look through your back catalog and learn from the things that you've done, because you now have that quantity from phase 1.
For
so
sure.
If we could bring on Chris, that'd be great.
Yeah, let's bring in Chris. This is so Chris edits my content. So I record my vlogs, I upload it to Dropbox. We have a short discussion, and lately, like no discussion, based off of title, he's able to edit. So all those videos he edited, and that's where we're at today. And one reason we want to do this is because Chris and I, literally every single video, we're both individually looking at the analytics, right? Looking at the data. For me personally, I'm looking at the engagement. I don't know if Chris reads all the comments. I know he probably reads a lot, right? But our discussions are really fascinating too, because we have different perspectives on it. And I thought it would be really beneficial, especially in this phase 2 where we're looking at quality more than just quantity.
Yes.
There's probably a lot more lessons learned, not just from phase 1, but especially now we're really scrutinizing the data. So Chris, thank you for jumping on.
Yeah, no problem, man. Sorry, I had to unmute my mic. It's been a while. But
It's all good. I guess, Austin, you tell me, where should we start? Because there's 3 things I want to talk about. A video, number one, like kind of like what I'm obsessed with, which is average view duration and why, right? But the 3 videos I wanted to talk about is a video that we thought would do well, but didn't do well, and why is it? 2, a video that I wasn't expecting to do well, but actually did well, and why. And then 3rd one is a video that we kind of knew would do good, but for some reason, Chris observed something as like, this is going to do really well, because that to me is most interesting, because instinct, and he was 100% right, and it's continuing to get views. Where should we start?
I think starting with the one where we talk about the one that you thought was going to do well, but then didn't do well, is a great place to begin, right?
Yeah. Okay.
Because that's an experience that every creator has had, right? Like you put something up, and especially at the beginning when maybe you're transitioning from phase 1 to phase 2, you take a shot and you just take an L too. Like that just happens sometimes. So I think it's really informative to start there, because actually I think you learn way more from the losses in this scenario than you do from the wins. So let's start from the thing you learned the most from.
So, Chris, I'm sure you heard we're talking about average view duration as being one of the key metrics, right? But of course, on the surface, it's always views. And there was one video specifically that I thought for sure was going to do well, like hit it out of the park. And so, I'm all about cooking, and specifically, I was cooking Nashville hot chicken sandwich. I would argue it's one of my top 3 dishes. It's Judy's favorite thing that I cook. The kids love it. Everyone that comes to my house loves it. And I was thinking, yeah, and it's a dish that I can make look really epic, like really kind of look good on camera and then have a good thumbnail.
If you haven't seen his thumbnail or seen that video, go to his channel and just look at it, and you can see exactly what
and
Benji's
you don't even need
about.
to. Just imagine the most beautiful, delicious, crispy looking Nashville hot chicken. In fact, Nouchaly has had that dish too. It's really good. But is it good, Nouchaly?
Oh, that thing is bomb.
Yeah. Okay. So he knows it.
I'm jealous. I haven't had it
It's really
yet.
good too. Okay. So, and then, applying the vlogging method. So if you're curious about the vlogging method, we'll talk more about that. But this is my new method of creating long form content, utilizing vlogging for any niche. And instead of making it like a 3, 5, 7-minute video, we're trying to actually make this longer, viewing experiences. And this was an 18-minute video. So I'm thinking like, oh, not only is it a good recipe and people are going to love it, it's going to look delicious, it's going to capture them. They're going to watch the whole thing, right? Or like a good part of it. So number one, it didn't do that well on views for me, right? Average views. Now it's not all about views, right? But on the surface, I know like there's a certain threshold. This did 15,000 views for me. My average right now, I mean, it's probably 18 to 20,000. And this is after like a couple weeks. And then the average view duration is 8 minutes long. Now, hey, I'm still happy with it because I know a lot of creators, 8 minutes is kind of mind blowing, especially the TikTokers. Okay. But remember, it's all about where you're at and growing from there, not about what other people do and comparing yourself. So for me, I'm trying to grow from here and like get up higher. And so for me, I actually don't exactly know why. I have some hunches, but let's bring in Chris. Chris, what's your thoughts on this video? Because of course, if it's interesting, he knows as he's editing what's going to be good. My question for you, Chris, is did you think this would do well? And whatever it was, why do you think it didn't do as well as we thought?
I don't necessarily think it did as well as we thought. Mainly, okay. So the first part of the question was, did I know while editing if this video was going to do well? I kind of had an inkling that it wasn't going to do well right away. I think it was one of those videos that will kind of pick up in time. Like I wouldn't be surprised if 3 months from now the video pops from 15,000 views to 30.
And why
right?
is that? Why is that?
Because I feel like this is more of that. Like just looking at the thumbnail, right? I'm looking at it right here. It has everything right. It has the crispy chicken sandwich right in front of your face.
Yeah.
You got Benji's little smile to the side. You got the action, which is the arrow, and then you got the subject, which is kind of like the topic of like, oh, this is crispy, spicy, whatever it is.
So the
it's
click-through rate
perfect-
for sure we thought would be good.
So click-through rate, not a problem. I could even look at it here. It was actually not that good, to be honest. It was 4.8%. But going through the video when I was editing it, there was just something that didn't feel. I feel like this would have been better as a produced video versus a vlog video. And I think there's 50 things, as we both mentioned, that it could have done this and that, especially looking back at it. What could be, because the first 10 seconds was amazing. Impressions were great. But I don't know. I think there's just something about the vibe that felt a little bit different versus some other videos that I watch and be like, oh, this is the vibe that your audience is going to watch. This is the vibe that your audience is going to click on. This is that and that. So
do you think you can describe what makes up pieces of that vibe? I think that's one of the hard things. And obviously, like Benji and I have talked about this a ton. Really, there's no substitute for gaining the instinct. And sometimes that's what makes it hard, is that you can't describe it. But in particular, is there like some clue that you noticed or something about, you said that you could tell in the edit that maybe this wouldn't land with the core audience necessarily.
Right.
Was there something that tipped you off? Is it just, it has to do with that core audience, or what does it have to do with something else?
Yeah, I think as Benji has an audience. He has people that follow him, people that
Yeah.
look up to him, and all that stuff. There's certain things, like let's say he's doing a Japanese dish, like something that he's known for doing, the curry, the now it's gonna be the pho and Costco trips and all the other stuff, right? There's the audience now kind of has like a direction that they'll automatically click on versus being like, do I want to watch that split second they have to think about something? I could kind of already tell that it might not get as much as that click-through rate showed, right? But I think a lot of it has to do with that his core audience isn't like Benji the Chicken Man.
Yeah,
Oh my
yeah.
gosh, he finally made the chicken salad.
Which, by the way, I've been
pumped.
trying to get to happen for years. Benji the Chicken Man.
Yeah. So just saying that, like let's say we redo this video. Now that we kind of see like, okay, well maybe Benji isn't the Nashville hot chicken guy. He's not doing that. Okay, cool. What about making a Japanese katsu chicken sandwich?
By the way, that's a good idea.
Now,
Somebody
That's
write that
a really
down.
good idea. We
So-
should totally do that.
so
Katsu
now-
burger.
boom. So now we're thinking about what matches with this core audience.
Yeah,
What is the personality of Benji, and what is also searchable. I've been telling Benji this the past past 100+ days now, is that I don't think we're making ranking videos. I think they'll rank by being a good video. So let's focus on us and the audience. And I think, like I said, Benji, today, that's your goal. Make this video. We'll hop on in 1 week from now, and we'll see, did it get good views or not? And I think it would.
Really good observation. And so the takeaway for a creator isn't like, why did this video do really bad for yourself, right? The takeaway is what Chris said. You look at the video and it's the decision you make afterwards to make a better video.
Yeah.
So in this case, I mean, by the way, I didn't even think about that. That's a really good idea. See, all the things on the surface, and I know creators can relate to this, the video should have done well. Like, it's a great recipe. I know how to do it. Everyone
Thumbnail
loves it,
looks
right?
good, yes.
Thumbnail looks good. We thought the title is solid, but for whatever it didn't work. It happens to all creators. But then we're thinking, okay, let's talk about Benji's audience. I have a majority, probably Asian audience, right? So they like Asian things. So then instead of doing the Nashville hot chicken burger, let's try to do a katsu burger. Very similar. It's like deep fried chicken, right? Or deep fried pork. We'll probably do chicken and do the same thumbnail title that's relevant, right? But all the elements could, and it could very well do better. Now that's just a theory until we execute. This is why reps really matter. Reps with improvement, right?
Yes.
Reps, improve, reps, and the rest. Going back to this video though, I actually, and I think that that's a good note about the Asian theme of my channel, because I'm literally half Japanese. I love Asian food, especially Filipino food, right? But recently I've been doing this noodles series, right? And there's another video that's kind of similar to it. It's called Making Pho for the First Time. So I just compare because it's got a similar amount of time. That one's 23 minutes. This one is 19 minutes. The one we're referring to, the chicken sandwich one. But the pho did a lot better. The pho one, I think, did a lot better because pho, really interesting topic that my audience can resonate with. Secondly, I'm cooking it for the first time. There might be an interest, like, I wonder how it turns out. I don't know, right?
There's a story embedded in
For
that.
sure,
Yeah.
right? But ultimately, that video did really well compared to the Nashville hot chicken sandwich. Did not do well. There's one thing that I didn't do in the Nashville hot chicken that I've been saying you should do in vlogging, which is telling stories.
Yeah, there you go.
In the pho one, I definitely did tell a lot of stories. Like one story that everyone can relate to. People are intimidated about making pho because it seems like a really difficult thing. Like to a certain degree, it is. Like it's got more elements to it. You got to make the broth or whatever. So making it for the first time, I think it's interesting, but I talk about the story, like the reason why I didn't make pho. That's just one of many different stories. In the Nashville hot chicken one, it was very much like old school Benji. I'm teaching you how to make it. In fact, this is somebody else's recipe.
Yeah.
I definitely tell some stories, but they weren't really even my stories. I didn't tell as many stories. And so with vlogging, I do believe that's a really important part. Let's actually transition to a video that I didn't know if it would do well. In fact, I didn't think it would do well, but I applied the fundamentals of vlogging, really letting it relax. As Chris would say, nerd out. And I told a ton of stories. So the next one is how to shop at the Asian grocery store. It's me at the Japanese supermarket in Seattle, and I'm by myself. I don't have my kids with me. And this video is really long. We're talking 42 minutes. And I remember I was vlogging, and I called Chris, like, hey, Chris, this is going to be like an hour and a half worth of footage. Let's make this as long as possible without making it arbitrarily long. Meaning we still focus on quality, right? But hey, let it relax or whatever. Let's just try this out. And so just to give you some metrics of the results of this, 22,000 views. This is another thing too. I say this did well, but the views, especially compared to what I'm like saying is good, might not be good. But remember, my focus is what? Audience view duration. The audience view duration of this is 15 and a half minutes.
Dang.
It's literally double my last video, right? Now, a lot of people would say, well, it's obvious. It's a longer video. That's my point. This is a huge secret right now of YouTube and of long-form content. If you can keep them on the platform longer, that benefits you in many ways. One, because the audience is just hanging out with you, not with other people, right? Not with 10 other shorts, just you for 15 minutes. And two, guess who really likes it? YouTube. So YouTube is like, oh my gosh, this channel. So it didn't get as many views, but in time it could if the algorithm finds the right audience. I do believe that could happen. It also could be, and this is just being very rational, objective. It's very aligned with my audience. I talked about Asian, audience, so it's Asian thing. This was funny. I made this video though for people intimidated about going into Asian grocery store. So I mean, like, I don't know, like, what's the truth. The point is this video we didn't think would do well. Or I thought like it'd do okay or whatever. I couldn't have imagined 15 minutes. I did have 100, maybe higher. And so this is a good example of ones like kind of could do well, but then did better than we thought in terms of audience view duration. And the one thing I did here, I don't know if I mentioned it because I've been talking about so many things. I told a ton of stories. Chris, tell me, because you edited this, what were your thoughts, and did I tell a lot of stories in this?
Yeah, there was definitely a bunch of stories, but I think more important, just going back to what you said from what I told you, was nerd out. Because there's things that you talk about and that you explain that I have no idea what it is. I'm not Japanese. I've never been to Japan. I've never studied anything that's Japanese. I just know what a couple dishes are, maybe a couple things are over there, but I'm not knowing much of it, and I'm not really looking for it either. So when I come across your video or I'm editing it, I'm like, wow, okay, I didn't know that. Oh, I didn't know that. I didn't know there was a Japanese egg, for God's sakes, right? Like, I didn't know.
By the way, everybody says I should make a video of that, because actually somebody came to my house. I said, you need to buy these Japanese eggs. They're like, what's a Japanese egg? It's like a Japanese chicken that makes a certain type of egg. The egg yolks are more orange or whatever. That you're like the third person that already said, I didn't know there's Japanese eggs. So we're going to put that on the list.
Don't worry, I'm capturing all these.
Okay.
Listen, Benji, here's the thumbnail. You take a Sharpie and you write on the egg a Japanese character saying egg. Legit. And you hold it in front of the camera. That would be a dope thumbnail.
Okay, anything else you want to say about this video?
Yeah. So, 1524 was the average view duration. It was a 42-minute long video, so about a third of the video was watched in full, I guess you could say, right? However that works out. I felt like this would do super well because it went back to your traits of the Japanese grocery store. By the way, let's all go back to December 2nd. Your first vlog was in the Japanese grocery store.
Same grocery
at the
store.
Wajimaya.
No way.
The same grocery store.
That did
But what you
6,000
did this
views.
time, if you go and look at that one versus this one, it just shows how reps, because like it's almost like the thing, like you do a kick for the first time and then you practice it for 130 something days and you do it again, you're like, oh, okay,
Benji's hitting the gym.
Yeah, finally. So but I think the biggest takeaway was that I was able to learn. I'm not just watching you as a personality. That's out the door. That only works for so long for some people. But you were entertaining during some parts, but a lot of it was educating me. I didn't look for this stuff, but as I'm hearing about it, it got me interested. So while I was editing, yes, I did think this would do very well, especially with view duration, because it was kind of like, boom, here's the vegetables. Boom, here's a fish. Boom, you could do this. Oh, here's a sauce. Here's my favorite noodle. Here's this and that. Here's a chicken egg. Here's this and that. So you just kind of kept going. It was like a bunch of short videos in one long video. So that could be a huge tip too.
One thing that I think is really important to share with the audience, and you talk about this a lot, Austin, is why the average view duration is important isn't just because that they're hanging out. It's because the people that are watching that long are most likely either my core audience, my core fan base, or people that really care about the content I'm making.
Yes.
See, that's what's interesting about this video. The reason I thought, oh, maybe it might do good, maybe it might not do good or whatever, is because it was a video I just wanted to make. Because in that moment, I was at the grocery store and I love being at the grocery store. I was like, there's no strategy involved because I came up with it like out of nowhere.
Yes.
But I was like, if I'm going to do it, I'm going to take Chris's advice. I will nerd out. Okay. By the way, even though he said there's a distinction between nerding out and telling stories, the truth is, nerding out is telling stories.
Totally.
I'm just telling the story of my perception of this and why this and me teaching. That's all storytelling. It's just a different method of storytelling. So I completely nerded out, right? Like I was vlogging so much, security followed me. And I saw them walking past me, and at one point, Lily said, "You need to stop filming."
Wow, really?
Yeah, they did, and I had to because the end of this vlog, I like 8 minutes of it. Okay, this is also example of like storytelling. The last 8 minutes was just me in the car. I wasn't even in the grocery store, so people wanted to even watch that, right? And so my point is this: part of phase 2 is finding the core audience.
100%.
Understanding who that is. What do we tell new beginner content creators or someone just starting a brand new channel on YouTube? You have to know who you're talking to. But the thing is, even if you think you know who you're going to talk to, you might find out there's another audience or something about the audience you're trying to reach that you didn't know. That's why the reps in phase 1 are really important to give you the data to start leading you the way. And then in phase 2, we're starting to solidify it, right? Not just from the topic standpoint and a strategy standpoint, but also the audience standpoint. Because I think this is what's going to help you get into phase 3. We won't talk about phase 3 is when you understand exactly who your audience is and you understand what you love that they love. That alignment helps you pick the topics and the ideas that you can produce and that will just be winners. Winners, winners, winners. That's what the best YouTubers are doing. They know their audience so well, they can kind of read their mind. Maybe they are them or they just know them. And then they create the idea that is for them and then they produce the video versus just coming up with a random idea and doing it, which this thing, old style vlogging, that's what it was.
Totally
You're just
was.
randomly vlogging everything and there was no kind of plan. Now, some vloggers did have a plan, right? But most vloggers were just brushing their teeth in the morning and then literally brushing their teeth at night and everything in between. It's just all over the place. With the new style vlogging, which I do teach, by the way, if you are curious, go to vloggingacademy.com if you're curious about that. I talk about having a specific takeaway or topic.
Yes.
As you learn the audience, you understand what those can be. And I think that's the last thing I'll say about this video and why I'm obsessed with average view duration, because I do believe YouTube loves it. The audience loves it. It could potentially do better later. But even if it doesn't, say like it's completely down. So if I go to analytics right now and I go to my view count, by the way, my theory is true. It is still going up.
Yeah. I see a little inflection going even further up.
And so
now.
for people out there, you don't know how to read this, there's when you go to your views, you go to your analytics, there's always kind of an average view path of your videos. And usually there's at one point, it just stagnates. It just kind of stops.
It kind of tapers off.
It tapers off and plateaus. But when the blue line, which sometimes starts out low, but starts going up, up, and up, and above the gray average, that's a good sign, especially if it continues to get views. And this is my theory, and I think I'm proving it. I didn't even know this, by the way. I'm looking at this for the first time.
Live.
That this will continue to do well into the future because YouTube is starting to figure out that core audience, that right audience for this video. And because it's keeping them for 15 minutes. Just imagine this compared to shorts.
Totally.
That's 15 shorts if they're watching the whole thing, right?
I want to point something out too, which is that it's actually, remember, the average is the average of people who clicked on it and watched for 3 seconds and the people who clicked on it and watched for the entire 40 minutes of that vlog, right? So the core audience is more likely watching closer to that 40 minutes. So really your core audience is sitting there and it's actually skewing much higher than those 15 minutes. So the 15 minutes is a nice down the middle metric for you to focus on. But really the people who are your core audience, they're spending 40 shorts of time with you per day, if not more, right? And so I think that actually, if it's okay for us to move on to the next category, is it speaks to the next thing, right? Which is a video that you thought was going to do well, but actually did even better than that. Because what's interesting is that you were still speaking to your core audience in these videos, right? But sometimes YouTube finds that audience when you've made a good enough video and it just shoots to the moon. It just takes off to another stratosphere and gives you those views that the quality of your content deserves. And that's like the perfect moment for your type of approach.
For sure. Okay, so let me describe this video and then I really want to ask you, Chris, why you had the instinct about this video. I shopped at Trader Joe's. Now, I've shopped at Trader Joe's multiple times in the past in this like vlogging phase, this vlogging effort that I'm in since November. The reason I went to Trader Joe's is one of the last polls I ran. I asked, hey, which grocery store do you want to see me shop at? I think it was Trader Joe's, Whole Foods, Walmart, and then this other one. Trader Joe's won. I was like, you know what? And I saw that poll. I was like, let me go to Trader Joe's. I need to pick up groceries. I love going grocery shopping, and it's been like a theme inside of my vlogging efforts. But before I went into Trader Joe's, I don't know if Chris gets a credit to tell me to do this or I just did it, but I ran a poll. I ran another poll. I say, hey guys, I'm going to Trader Joe's. What do you want to see? And I gave them 4 options to vote on. One was healthy options. 2, recipe ingredients. 3, snacks. And the 4th one was, I don't even remember. Actually, it doesn't really matter. Guess which one won. And this was in a very short amount of time. It was like 1 or 2, not even 1 hour, because like on the way there, I put it out there and snacks won out. Okay. So I went into this Trader Joe's thinking, okay, I'm going to do a grocery store vlog, but I'm going to focus on snacks. I'm still picking up other things, right? I'm not just loading up on sugar here, but I was like, you know what? I'm going to emphasize the snacks.
Tell stories,
because the audience voted on it. And guess what? Yes, I am going to tell a story. Guess what? The theme though was not just snacks. I was like, my philosophy on feeding my kids snacks, stories. So remember, Chris mentioned nerd out. I was thinking, okay, it's because this thing, you could have easily gone in Trader Joe's, showed the snack, talk about the snack, and move on and be super boring. What do I do? In the midst of me vlogging all the snacks, I'm actually nerding out and talking about my philosophy on feeding snacks and sugar for the kids and how we balance. I talk about how we still feed them healthy foods. I give healthy snack options in there. Again, nerding out. This video ended up being 25 minutes long, but when I left, and I don't even know if when it was left, because when I left, I go, I uploaded it. I'm not really sure how it will do. I was by myself. I didn't have the kids. Kids are a huge element because our audience love the kiddos. Are super cute, but it's just me. I was kind of feeling low energy too. Oh yeah, and also I was sick, right? Like my throat had this weird thing going on. I don't think it was anything viral, so don't worry about other people there. But I remember thinking damn, the audio is going to be way off. Probably going to annoy Chris, going to annoy the audience. But I followed the fundamentals, right? I listened to the audience. I nerded out. I told a lot of stories. I had a theme. I had a takeaway for my vlog. So any Vlogging Academy students, you see, I'm even following the fundamentals. And then I lob it to Chris. I don't know how to do it, whatever, right? And I was like, it was important to upload a vlog that day for me. So he edits it. And then afterwards, he goes, Benji, we talked on the phone. He goes, this is going to do 50,000 views. I was like, really? And by the way, sorry to the Mr. Beast out there. 50,000 is really good for me. But I was like, why do you think it's going to do 50,000? He's like, oh, no. I just have a feeling about this, right? I was like, oh, really? And I kind of knew I was going to ask him this question. So guess what? Just to give you guys some things. It hit 2 out of 10. I think at one point it did hit 1 out of 10. If you know about video performance on studio, you know what that means. To this day, it's done 33,000 views. Normally, a video by this time will do about 20,000. So it's already on its way up higher. The average view duration, not crazy, but it's almost 10 minutes long.
That was on a 20-minute vlog, or how long was that vlog?
25-minute
25
vlog,
minutes,
right?
yeah.
But if I look at the view graph, it is like going into the stratosphere.
Yeah.
Now, it's starting to taper off a little bit, right? But if I had to bet money, I wouldn't bet against Chris. I do believe eventually this will do 50,000. But that's not the point. It still did way better than I ever thought it would from me doing the content and giving to Chris. So, Chris, my question for you is, why did you have the instinct that this would do well?
First, let's go back to your comment you told me, Benji. And I'm very sad. I try to engage, try to help. I go, Benji, frozen snack section, maybe desserts too. Benji has the audacity to say, you don't need any more sugar.
Oh, yeah, in the
Now-
comments.
Now, I'm like, says the guy who just bought 20 pounds of sugar. Anyway,
You have the
I thought that was
receipts
kinda
there, by
funny,
the way.
right?
For those not
I just
watching.
did 10-8 Benji, all right? I just got a
He's one of
10-8
my
on Benji.
trolls. You know,
Anyway.
another comment in that one too was somebody saying, "Oh, I see you feeding sugar to your kids all the time, and you never
Yeah.
feed them healthy foods." And my response to them was like, "You should totally be my nutritionist." So we're just like messing around. But
Yeah.
okay, Chris, why did you have the instinct that this video would do well?
There's a few things. I don't know how many, but I'm going to say there's 3 things. The first thing was, you said you're going to go to Trader Joe's. And I'm like, okay, run a poll. I think I told you to run a poll. I don't know if you did it by yourself or if I told you to, whatever. But I was like, run a poll, because that creates what? Engagement with your audience. It allows your audience to choose with you so they can look forward to watching
Okay, now
the
I
video
remember.
right when
You
it's
do get
posted.
credit for telling me about the polls. I do remember
So-
this. And by the way, this is a very good point because it's including your audience.
Yeah.
And Chris did say that day when I was sitting in my truck, because not only is it letting them choose, right, a direction, and it's coming from them, also it's like pre-promotion
Yeah.
for it
Yeah.
in a way, right?
You get people excited. It's the same reason people run trailers for big movies, right?
No, it's so. Anyways, now I recall, so I don't get any credit for the poll. Okay, keep going.
So with the poll, Trader Joe's is already known for snacks. Like, no one goes there for their amazing produce, because half the time, at least when I go, it's moldy. So, and no one's really going there for their meat choices either, right? They don't have like the best quality meats, just in my opinion. But the one thing people go there for are 2 things: is desserts, because they have like the ube stuff, they have these little tiny cones, they have all this other stuff, and they have the frozen section, which has all of the cool little carrots and breakfast potatoes and teriyaki and all this other stuff. It's really good. So Trader Joe's alone is known for their snacks. If you go across all the TikToks and all that stuff, it's snacks. So that's the first inkling that I got, that this is going to be a good video, aside with the polls, because they were able to choose it, and I knew they're going to choose snacks too.
So alignment with
Yeah.
the audience's interests for that topic, which is Trader Joe's and snacks. Yes.
Right. So you're able to just kind of like hit the sweet spot, no pun intended, with people's interests. So throughout the video, you're showing this, that, this, that. But here's another thing that you did. You also nerded out. You also gave your full, like, actual passion towards the food, where you weren't even vlogging anymore. I felt like I was standing next to you and you were like, dude,
Look at this thing.
Oreo pie? Whoa, ube cookies? What? Like, you were actually interested in it. And that's a dopamine for people, by the way. So you're able to be like, oh my God. It's not like a fake one either. It's not like, oh, look at this. This is a cool snack, everybody. I recommend this. It's like, there's no passion in that. But when you show your passion through your personality to your viewers, it keeps them engaged. It keeps them watching. And then they might even comment too, and then there's a thing where Benji goes, man, idea, Oreo-fy everything. And he calls me later because I saw the video. Obviously I edited it. And I'm like, Benji, a cheeseburger's an Oreo-fy? And he goes, okay, my mind's blown. Anyways, I just knew the video would do well because it just felt right. Everything checked the box. It wasn't the highest production. It probably wasn't the best phrases or whatever used, or the best title or thumbnail, whatever it is. He actually went back to do a thumbnail because the first one was like Blue Sky Trader Joe's, and he was like, so it wasn't like the absolute best, but the video just aligned so well with interest, and then it showed passion. So that's kind of like my biggest inkling. And it did slow down a little bit, and it's starting to fall down, but it still did more than 15, 20,000 views, 30,000 views. It's at 33. So yeah.
I love that. I think that talking about, it really is it all coming to fruition, right? Nailing those reps and gave you both the habits and the instinct to do those things along the way. You tested out a little bit of thing with the audience engagement. You literally are directly speaking to a core audience in that, right? And guess what? It just hit a niche or a groove that allowed it to kind of take off. And even if it's tapering off now, I think that type of thing, like Chris says, it's a popular topic. It's one of those videos that has the potential to really grow and grow and grow. And I guess what I'm coming away with, I'm sure that there's a little more that you want to talk about. What I'm coming away with this is looking back at what won and why is why those reps in phase one are so key, right? Because without the reps, you have no data, you have no experience to go with. And actually, even more important than that, those reps in phase one give you the opportunity and the habits needed to really level up in phase two as you begin to make small strategic tweaks like running that poll.
Yeah, I can't say enough about the importance of reps. And the best example that was brought up by Chris is we're talking about how the audience view duration of that Asian grocery store vlog was so high, 15. And that's kind of mind-blowing to me because the very first vlog I uploaded that he mentioned was that same grocery store that did 6,000 views. And I don't even remember what I watched it once that day and then I moved on, right? I bet you if you were to put it side by side, this other one, though way longer, right? And I remember that video too, Chris. I was by myself too. So very similar situation, but this new video is way better because of the reps.
Yeah.
Like just purely from me as a creator being on camera, I'm just better. I'm more comfortable. I'm able to talk about, everything that's on my mind. I'm able to nerd out. I also have a different mind. Literally, my mind is different from 5 months ago. So I'm vlogging. This is what's crazy about vlogging. I'm vlogging really the same thing, but I'm vlogging it in a different way. And for my audience, a better way.
Exactly.
But those were reps. And it wasn't just, I've actually gone to that same store 2 times, I think, between that first time and this last time. So those are already 2 additional reps. But then all the other vlogs help too, because what we just did is we just broke down 3 videos.
Yeah.
Chris, I don't know what the number is. You should tell me what it is. But I know we're clearly over 100 videos.
Oh, yeah.
We're breaking down every one of those. Sometimes we don't have time to do it together. But I know for me, I look at the videos and I'm like, oh, I wonder why it got this many views. Why did it get this many comments? Why was the audience view duration? When you start going through that practice, man, it's like you said, it's doing the push-ups, going into the gym. Everybody knows this, the basics. This is why I think everybody understands at the end of the day, if you want to get stronger, if you want to lose weight, if you want to get more healthy, it's a very simple regimen you follow. Go to the gym often, do more reps, lift more weight, stretch, cardio, all the above, right?
Yes.
And at the end of 6 months, you will look better.
Yeah.
You don't need a coach. You don't need nothing, right? And that's the same way with YouTube.
Yeah.
And I don't know if this is the right time to do that.
It is, yeah.
Let's talk about Kendrick and Drake.
Well,
how the heck does this all transition? We're gonna talk about that.
Your focus is about long-term growth on this channel, right? You're not concerned about results early. In fact, in most cases, you don't even care about the view count. It's not number one to you. because the views follow the quality content. You say this all the time. Chris has just said it to us, and I definitely agree with it, that as long as you're making quality content and you're slowly getting better at that, knowing your audience, making a better product for your core audience, there's always going to be a place where you're going to have your moment and take off. And so who's at the top of the charts right now, Benji? Who's number one in terms of like the global 100 on Apple Music and on Spotify? It's Kendrick. And actually, he's the top 2 slots, and Drake is right underneath him. And if you think about it, Drake has been at the top in terms of numbers. Again, like Nouchaly was saying, Drake was making fun of Kendrick for having an album that flopped, basically, in terms of those numbers. But you know what Kendrick was doing? He was doing things for himself. He was like, his last album was entirely about grief and trauma and like healing and all of those things, like not like club bangers necessarily, right? But he was focusing on himself and the people that listen to him, who are his core audience. And now he's having his moment. So like, I think is a great opportunity for us to talk about what creators can learn from that Kendrick versus Drake thing. And you can tie all this together to explain exactly what is happening there applies to the creators listening to this podcast.
I'm not comparing myself to Kendrick at all, but
Are you sure?
I can kind of relate to him, even though we have completely different crafts. The reason when I listened to that one Kendrick song and I heard what everyone thought about what Kendrick was doing, and then you literally look at the numbers, the YouTube numbers, right?
Yeah.
The view counts on his thing.
People in the comments are pointing that out. Kendrick's number 1, Drake's number 2, literally on just YouTube trending.
And so what I recognize is this guy put in the reps to be ready for this moment. Respect to Drake and everything he's done. He's a pop star, famous, always was number 1 with his hits, albums always doing well, and now he's talking smack about Kendrick. Now Kendrick's doing laps around him. See, this podcast isn't for the Mr. Beast or the Drake or those top people. People aspire to be that, right? I'm actually for the person that feels like, you know what? I had some flops or my videos aren't doing well. I know I'm better than that creator. Like there's some creators that say it and they have nothing to back it up. But I know there's creators that their moment hasn't come.
Yes.
Kendrick's moment is here. And for the time being, he is going to be on top of Drake. Like paint that picture. I mean, like literally he's just like crushing him. Okay.
In the ring, like you said.
And it's because he put in the reps. I mean, he isn't this master lyricist and this amazing rapper because he just decided to be one day. He probably practiced a lot. He probably wrote a lot. He probably thinks about a lot. He probably actually did it. See, the thing is, even the flops help your craft.
Totally.
Right? Because you said, I don't know. I've never listened to it. But what if it is just for him? Maybe he's like thinking, my audience might like it. Like I've done with some of my vlogs. It doesn't do well, but guess what? Maybe he had to do it, right?
Yeah.
But you still learn a lot. You even said it. You learn more sometimes from your mistakes and your failures. For me, I'm just looking at right now, Kendrick is doing laps around Drake. And why is it? It's because he's experienced, because he is a lyricist. He's a master at his craft. And I guess where I'm speaking to how I can relate to that is when I uploaded that first Asian grocery store video, and it only did 6,000 views compared to what my channel used to do. I was afraid it was going to do less. So I was like, 6,000. Most creators, they'll go, it wasn't my 60,000 used to do.
Yeah.
It wasn't my 600,000.
They're looking in the past.
The video you did for me, like million views, right? What if I compared it to that?
Yeah.
But I had a long-term vision. I was like, I know I'm going to put in the reps. It's kind of like mind-blowing to look back at it because I was so bold about how it started, even though how it looked was not bold at all. In fact, most creators are like, psh, cute. Benji's vlogging. He's going to the store. He's taking the kids to Costco. He's like cooking his little scrambled eggs, right? But guess what I did? I was like, I'll show you. But not like in a way where like I was trying to prove something to them.
No.
I was just following my method, right?
Exactly.
My new vlogging method. I was putting in the reps. I was practicing the fundamentals. I was literally going through the phases. Phase 1, right? Every single day I'm going to upload because guess what? I'm going to get better. My views are going to grow. Sometimes not. I will learn from it, right? Those data points I have to have the reps to get those, right? Like you have to have the winners and the flops to like know how to improve. It's not just about uploading your first 100 videos. It's about uploading 100 videos and getting better with every single one. Even if on the surface it doesn't look better. Because this is the thing. You might be a better creator tomorrow because of today's upload, even though the video doesn't look like it.
Yes.
And that is the true secret of the success stories on YouTube. I mean, everybody I can point to, my wife, Sean, all the amazing success stories, there's a story you don't know. And it happened when nobody cared and when you were the underdog, just like Kendrick. When he's flopping and Drake's like, oh my gosh, you flopped your last album, right? And Kendrick's like, I'll show you. And he had these videos ready, right? Like he had these songs ready. He was like putting in the time to have his moment. And he's crushing. I know there's creators out there that are struggling and frustrated with the views they're getting. You have to have the long-term vision. Because like me, I had 6,000 views. Now I'm getting that video that I just talked about. Even the view count is still way better than the first one, but the audience view duration, that's what's crazy. I'm actually kind of curious now. I want to go back to that one, see what the audience view duration is. By the way, this again, another good thing about reps. You have a lot of data to look at, right?
Yeah.
I'm going to go back to that very first video that I uploaded. And I can even tell you the date. Okay. I went to the same grocery store, same concept. Okay. By the way, it was 6,000 views, after about a week's time. It's up to 20,000 views. This is the beauty of YouTube. Just FYI to any creators out there that's either starting on YouTube or has been on YouTube. Don't forget this. That video got about 6,000 views in the first week. And we always say like the first 1 or 2 weeks usually tells you like what the video is going to be, right? Yeah. And it could grow. And this one, in fact, continue to grow because, I mean, this is like a whole nother topic, right?
Totally.
What happens when I upload videos around Asian grocery stores and that person watches it?
They pop up and suggested.
Because the algorithm goes, hey, if they like this topic and they like this type of video and they like this guy and his channel, I mean, there's a good chance they like this other one. Let me put it on there. And this video is going to prove you. Okay, so let's go back to it. By the way, the title is What I Buy at the Japanese Grocery Store, right? By the way, when I look at this whole title, horrible title. Like, I already learned, like, I look at this, Chris, right? Like, it's like, we wouldn't put Wajimaya in Seattle. We wouldn't put Benji Travis. Like, what are we trying to do here? I bet there was a strategy back then that we were trying to apply, but it didn't matter to me. I was like, let's not overthink any of that. We're just trying to put the video out there, get my audience, back into the system. Like, again, put in the reps. Audience view duration of this was 7 minutes. So that's not bad, right? Considering it's a 12-minute video. That's actually really good. But yeah, there's really nothing else to look at about that video other than that video was a 6,000 viewed video, now 20,000. This recent one is above 22,000, double the audience view duration. There's growth. There's improvement. That is what matters because one day all your hard work will come up to the surface, just like I believe Kendrick is. And the lesson that creators can learn is your moment's just not here yet. But don't discount all the things you do now to be ready for that moment. Because at any time, a video could go viral. At any time, some other creator could call you out and like, I'm going to show them, right? In your own unique way. And you're going to be ready. And if you have a huge library, which by the way is happening right now to me, all my videos that I'm picking and choosing in phase 2, where I'm being a little more discerning and I'm about quality, that backlog of content might not have done well before, but I'm finding new audiences or audiences that already subscribe to me or know me. They're like, oh, I didn't even know he was doing this. Yeah. Maybe they weren't on YouTube for that content. And this is just a season of geeking out on grocery store vlogs, right? All those other videos have a potential to create this thing. That is the crazy thing about reps on YouTube and creating this back library. Sometimes it's good to have your launch after you've recorded 10 to 100 videos because then you're ready. When I say launch, like telling the world about it. Yeah. Like when I did this too, Chris knows this because it annoys the hell out of him. I didn't promote my vlogs at all on my socials. Yeah. I have hundreds of thousands of followers on multiple platforms. I never once a thing. I did it just for him one day. I was like, just do it. He's like, you should promote this. I made a point not to because there's two things. One, I knew that if I want to grow on YouTube, you grow on YouTube. The algorithm is smart enough that it's going to know who to give it to. Because people aren't going to Instagram to look for YouTube content. They're going to YouTube to look for YouTube content.
Yeah.
Secondly, the moment I have my Kendrick Lamar moment, I will promote the crap out of it. In fact, I'm kind of doing it right now. I was like, hey guys, look what I've done the last 6 months. Right? Like at the beginning, no one really cares.
Exactly.
Everybody wants to celebrate their beginning. Hey, good for you. And I always pat people on the back. But guess what? I'm like maybe the Drake. I'm like, oh, cute. That's cute. Let me see what you do in 6 months. Let me see where you're at in 1 year. Because to me, that's way more important. But everyone's so short-sighted. They're like, what are my views doing today?
Yeah.
What are my views going to be tomorrow? Versus what can I learn right now? How can I improve for tomorrow? And 6 months, where will I be? 1 year, where will I be? Actually, when I started this whole thing, I was like, this is a 1 year commitment, which was annoying. I was like, damn, that's a lot of work.
Yeah.
I knew how much work it was going to be. Well, I'm kind of 6 months in. I'm feeling okay about it. But guess what? I don't put too much pressure on myself. I'm not worried about the views, even though I look at the analytics, average view duration, the comments, the engagement. I'm like, okay, cool. How do I get a little better? What are the topics that really hit? I'm literally still learning today. I wrote the book on YouTube, people, with Sean, one of the best experts. He's my friend. He was over at my house the other day. I can literally ask him any question I want. I'm still learning. That's the thing about YouTube and social media. It is competitive because there's new people, there's new audiences, there's new beef to be consuming, right? Like people are like, battling it out. It just came out of nowhere. If you want to succeed, you just not only have to put in the reps, you have to be focused and you have to pay attention. And you do that every single day and you put in the work and you improve and you're showing up and you focus on the long term. You can literally change your whole channel and your life if you do that. And that's why the very last C of YouTube secrets is consistency. And that's what I did in phase 1. I'm still being consistent, and I'm consistent for the long term, not for today or tomorrow, but for 6 months from now, a year from now.
Thank you so much to our students at Vlogging Academy who are the sole supporters of today's episode. You can learn more about Benji's new way of vlogging at vloggingacademy.com. Thank you so much for listening, and we'll see you next time. So, Benji, one thing interesting about what you were saying there is that the back catalog of Kendrick, right, and what Nouchaly pointed out with the Mr. Morale kind of flopping, you know what happened in the last week?
No way.
It's back in the Billboard 200.
Wow.
As he's gaining the views. It's the exact same phenomenon, right?
Why didn't you bring it up when I was ranting in the podcast?
Because I got to save the dessert for the end.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
But I did not I also saved a little bit of the story too. I told you most of the story, but I didn't tell you my favorite part of the story, which is about BBL Drizzy. Chris, have you been following this at all?
This is the one I have not been following.
Okay, good.
It didn't
Good for
engage
you.
my interest like MGK and Eminem.
This just shows how terminally online I am. So the story is that on let me get the exact dates because it's so important. April 18th, 2024. So last month, this guy named King Willonius, who's like this parody artist, drops this like R&B soul song called BBL Drizzy, which is just like making. Drizzy is Drake's nickname, right? And he's just making fun of Drake. Like it's like nobody's really listening to this ultimately. Like it's small potatoes. But like I told you, part of the story is that one of the instigating events was a Kendrick song with Metro, right? And so Metro Boomin puts out a beat after I think it was after Drake's response or something like that. Was that right?
For
Nouchaly?
Benji, just to catch up, Metro Boomin is like one of like the greatest like producers who works with a lot of rappers.
Got it,
So,
yeah.
like, he's like the top pinnacle of producers. But
Yeah.
Carry on, yeah.
Yeah, so I think this is after the Heart Part 6 or sometime around that period. What he does is he goes to SoundCloud and he posts this. I'm just going to play a little clip of it. Okay, you get the idea. So he's sampling that original song and putting a beat over it. And this is because Drake actually called him out in one of the songs. I think it was Drake. Yeah. That was like, Metro, make some beats. And Metro was like, So he like goes and he posts a beat. And he, I wish I should have pulled, I'm just going to pull it up right here. BBL, Drizzy, SoundCloud. in the description of the beat, he says it's something like top verse gets a free beat from me. And so what he did is he released this beat where he sampled BBL Jersey, already making fun of Drake, totally unserious, made a pretty dope beat, frankly, like for what it is.
Kendrick did?
This is Metro.
Okay, got it, yeah.
This is like the guy on the side just taking shots in, throwing Molotov cocktails into the party, right? And so what's been happening is that it's been going viral on TikTok and other places, and everyone is making Drake diss tracks over the
He's
beat.
having a competition.
So
On who could diss
Drake the best.
Oh
And
my
whoever
gosh.
wins that gets a free beat from Metro.
From Metro,
Right.
which is
and
like
he's an epic
That's
producer.
the hottest like ever.
we're talking like tens of thousands.
As
of
interesting as that is, this is something creators can learn from
Exactly.
about your flop videos. You never know when a video will take off.
Exactly.
Sometimes it'll just be unexpected because the algorithm doesn't work perfectly every time because it is working over time.
Yeah.
But then secondly, it's funny because, I mean, Kendrick is an unusual example because he was already a superstar. He ain't
Yeah,
no
he
like
won, like, a
C-list
Grammy
rap.
and a
Yeah, exactly,
Pulitzer
right?
Prize,
Like
yeah.
even when this morning, I'm like just so old out of it. I'm like, who's Kendrick Lamar? Oh, I've heard all these songs. I just didn't know it was Kendrick Lamar. But especially after his flop, he's coming back. He's ready. He's
Yes.
prepared, doing laps around Drake. And then it's igniting his other stuff. See, you're not relevant now until you are. And the things that you're
Yes.
creating that you know are good, no one cares about until they do care about you.
Yeah.
This is why the big secret is on YouTube is you are your channel,
Yes.
but your audience is what matters.
Well, let me take that even one step further, because the thing that Kendrick is saying, right, is that, and he actually explicitly says that it says this in his lyrics. The reason I am winning this rap battle, because he's just calling it out in the middle. The reason I'm winning is because I'm tapped into the culture and you're not. He literally knows, right? And so you talk about big game, like he's so tapped into the culture right now that he's like, you don't even stand a chance.
Okay, and let me ask you, Nouchaly, why is he tapped into the culture? Why is Kendrick Lamar so much more in tune with the people and the streets?
So, okay, you mentioned the street. I was literally like hinting at, I don't know how I want to describe it, but K Dot or Kendrick is the nickname going out now.
Yeah.
He's way more in tune with the streets and like the more or less the culture of all the rap battles, because all rap battles stems from street business and everything. And did you hear that one of Drake's security guard got shot?
Yeah, that's crazy.
So that beef and everything. So Kendrick Lamar was just, I guess I don't want to put it out there, but he's like a gangster. I would say like he's a gangster. Drake is more
kind of comes with the territory of rappers, you know.
He's more of a, Drake is more Hollywood. Austin said he's like a singer R&B artist, right? He's not at come at your throat, I'm about to shoot you, but that's
He's a pop artist, really.
That's
Yeah.
K-Dot. That's Kendrick. That's why he's tapped in with the streets. He's in with the known. That's why I believe he's winning.
Okay, and we'll end it here because we got to get going. On that note, you know that Kendrick is a real one just from his craft, just from his skills, just from his art,
product,
okay?
yeah.
From his product. And this goes to one of my favorite sayings that you taught me, which is real artists send.
Ship.
Okay, sorry. Real artists ship. And what that means is if you're a real one and you know what's up, especially as a creator, you're uploading videos, right? Like you upload videos because you love to do it versus there's some creators who, as successful as they look on the surface, you don't know everything going around. You don't know how big their team is, how much resources, who are the experts coaching them, right? Also, like
How many people are writing their lyrics?
their intention and motives are like really just like to kind of be this shining star,
Yeah.
right? And I think Drake is kind of that person.
Yeah.
What kind of creator do you want to be? Do you want to be a real one that ships, right? One that uploads content, that knows the community, knows a platform.
And is taking risks too.
And
Yeah.
totally taking risks, right? I'd much rather be that person every single day because at one point, somebody gets knocked off the top, right? See, the thing is, I'm steady Freddy guy. I'm like upload, learn, have my wins here and there, but over time. And I can say this because I've been doing this since 2008 with my wife.
Exactly.
When I say long-term thinker, I'm probably one of the longest because outside
really
of like some of the OGs. And that's why I coach based off of fundamentals, principles, and philosophy.
Because you've been around.
Not just because I've been around. What I care about most is helping other people be around, right? Because you do have ups and downs, but that's not a bad thing. It's about going up and down over time and always growing and growing. And don't get distracted by those people that you feel like you should be or whatever, because you just don't know anything about their life. I'd say this, be a Kendrick as a creator and be comfortable when you're not doing well, because that's more important than how you are when you are doing well. Because if you have that kind of comfort in yourself, you will ship videos. You will upload to YouTube. And that is the key to success. Consistency over time, no matter what is happening. And I guess this is why I geeked out on Kendrick and Drake, even though I had to get educated by Nouchaly and by Austin. Because one thing is I recognize, game recognizes game, right? Even though I don't know that much about rap, I did come back from the hip hop culture. I recognize when somebody is on their shit and just like doing things every single day, because there's a certain swagger about it. And that's the kind of creator you want to be. And the only way you get that is by the reps.
I wonder if Drake's listening.